Joining us in Arc Salt Lake, I'm Jamie McGriff. It's Monday, March 2nd, and tonight we are taking a look at day 6 of the Kouri Richins murder trial, reactions from Utah's military community on the U.S. attack on Iran. But first, we're going to get to talking about the rain, because that's actually the big deal today here in the valley. Meteorologist Sean Kelly has our first alert forecast. Hey, Sean.
Hey, yes, some of the higher valleys, though, starting to see those snow levels getting down to the valley floors, and some of those, again, higher elevation spots, about 6,000 feet right now, and including the Garden City area and the Bear River area region, dealing with some moderate to even heavy snow out there. Could see a couple inches of snow before this is all said and done, including in the Cache Valley area that is now dealing with all snow as well. And some of those eastern facing benches here could see some light accumulations as well, but it's all rain here for the valleys from Tremont and southward into Brigham City. Ogden seeing some heavy rain into Farmington and in downtown Salt Lake City, and for all the Salt Lake Valley, a little bit lighter further down towards the south and more isolated down across portions of southern Utah and Cedar City, Panguitch, into the Beaver area. The Beaver area can maybe see an inch or two. We've got these rain showers steady, likely through much of the overnight here. Temperatures staying pretty much into the lower 40s, so it's a cold rain. And we've got another storm that we're already tracking as we head into Thursday and Friday. This one could bring snow all the way down to the valley floors for pretty much everyone. We'll talk about this coming up in my first alert weather forecast.
The murder trial for Kouri Richins continues this week, with prosecutors expected to continue calling a list of witnesses. Brian Schnee has the latest from the Summit County Courthouse.
Some pretty long testimony when you factor in the morning to the afternoon hours. We had the chief medical examiner, at least the former, Dr. Eric Richins, talking about specific test results and getting questioning about fentanyl and how it gets into the system. Of course, it's really theoretical at this point. How does it get into the system? That is the root of why we are here. So ultimately, that question does not get answered, even by experts that find themselves on the stand. Now, if you look at what happened here this afternoon, the state calling yet another witness, it's not clear how many more the state does have, although we're in the 20s at this point. The state calling their expert digital forensic specialist, if you will, who was looking into text messages and web searches. And at first, we started talking about the phone of Eric Richins.
Did you find anything in Eric Richins' phone about illicit drug use?
No, outside THC, I didn't find anything.
When you did the analysis for that white iPhone, was there evidence of deletions?
Yes.
Was there evidence of text message deletions?
Yes.
Evidence of call log deletions?
Yes.
Describe what time frame you were able to recognize those deletions happening.
The time frame essentially for that device is mid-March. So specifically as it relates to some of the other items I looked at related to this case, we're looking basically January 1st through middle of March 2022.
What was missing from that phone for January 2022, February 2022, and March 2022?
Hundreds of text messages at least. They were also missing most of the web history artifacts in that device.
Call histories as well?
Call logs, etc.
And then we moved on to the conversation of what happened on February 14th, 2022. Keep in mind, this trial is not just about an aggravated murder charge. There's also an attempted murder charge that is factored in there. So who was Kouri Richins talking to on the 14th? Back in February 2022, his name is Robert Josh Grossman, and here's some of the things they talked about.
What were the typical volume of calls and texts between Kouri Richins and Josh Grossman?
Particularly from November of 21, which was essentially when the 1152 number showed up on his phone, daily, with a few exceptions.
Now, perhaps the most captivating portion of the visual representation of what was looked for on Kouri Richins' phone is we learned that she had 3 phones that she had been using. One of those phones had 2 phone numbers primary number and then, of course, the secondary number, kind of like a Google Voice or another application. And that phone number, according to the expert that the state brought on, was being used to talk to Robert Josh Grossman. However, there was also the conversation about the second phone. It was a blue iPhone, and what was searched on that phone. Take a listen.
Did you find web searches during April, that time frame the phone was used, that were relevant to this case?
Yes. I imagine you're aware that this was all these searches were done after Ms. Richins knew she was under investigation, correct?
Yes.
So ultimately just an admission that those searches were taking place on that phone. There was a lot of relevant searches, if you will, to this case. There were things on there like, how do the FBI investigate something like this? And what do prisons in Utah look like this? Are there luxury prisons for the rich in America? Those are all presented to the jury today. We had a brief cross-examination from Alex Ramos. And again, we'll get things going back here tomorrow at 8:30 in Summit County. In Park City, Brian Schnee, KUTV 2 News.
President Trump says the fighting with Iran could take at least 5 weeks and possibly longer. He also says that he's not ruling out anything, including sending troops to the country, ground troops to the country. And so far, U.S. service members have been killed in the fighting. 2 News wants to know how our military communities here in Utah are feeling the impact following the attack on Iran. Leslie Duarte reports that some people have worries. They still hope for peace soon.
I find it very heartfelt.
Near and around the Hill Air Force Base, longtime locals are feeling the conflict overseas.
We're close to the base.
Diane Palmer also thinks about her family in Washington, D.C.
They're close to the head of the government. You know, it could affect all of us if anything happens.
Sharon Everston hopes peace will come soon.
War makes its own destruction, even, just to think about it, because it gives us no peace, really.
As some worry, I reached out to Hill Air Force Base to get more information about their role in the conflict, but I did not hear back from them. I also reached out to the city of Clearfield. Mayor Mark Shepard sent me a statement that in part said the city of Clearfield has not taken any action specific to this particular mission, but they are ready to support military families, saying, "Our message is simple. The airmen and families of the Hill Air Force Base are valued here. They are supported here, and our community will always stand with them." While they share anxiousness, gratitude and hopefulness are also being felt in the community.
The jets are the sound of freedom to me.
The city of Clearfield added they are ready to support military families who may be impacted. Reporting from Clearfield, Leslie Duarte, KUTV 2 News.
For decades, the United States and Iran have had a tense and complicated relationship. The National News Desk, Angela Brown, looks at the key moments and recent events that led to Operation Epic Fury.
Well, President Trump says Operation Epic Fury was building for decades, citing close to 50 years of terror at the hands of Iran. The 1979 Iran hostage crisis, the breaking point, but not the starting point. That was back in 1953 when America helped to overthrow the democratically elected prime minister of Iran, setting the stage for the 1979 Iranian Revolution, where militants removed the American-backed Shah, setting off more than 40 years of hostility. For nearly 50 years, Iran targeted Americans through proxy groups, hostage-taking, car bombs. The breaking point, the 1979 Iran hostage crisis. Iranian militants seized the U.S. Embassy, holding 52 Americans hostage for 444 days. They were released minutes after President Reagan took office back in 1981. But the terror in the 80s continued. An Iran-backed group bombed the U.S. Embassy in Lebanon, killing 63. Months later, Hezbollah, backed by Iran, bombed the U.S. Marine barracks in Beirut, killing 241 service members. But the relationship is complicated. The Iran-Contra scandal revealed the Reagan administration illegally sold weapons to Iran. Some of the profits then went to fund the Contras in Nicaragua. Fast forward to the Iraq War. Iran-backed groups linked to the deaths of more than 600 American service members in Iraq between 2003 and 2011. President Donald Trump pointing to this history to justify the strikes.
For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries.
Late December 2025 is when everything took a dramatic turn. We watched as mass protests erupted across Iran, comparable or the largest since the 1979 revolution. Thousands of protesters were killed or injured as the regime cracked down. At the same time, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was meeting with President Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Axios reporting that in January, President Trump was on the verge of ordering strikes but pulled back. Instead, he began secretly planning a joint operation with Israel. The rest you know. The president ordered a massive military buildup in the Middle East. Negotiations between the U.S. and Iran failed, leading to the strikes over the weekend. Now the question is, how will the next regime rule? Will the Iranian people have a say? And how far will America get involved? In Washington, D.C., I'm Angela Brown.
Coming up on ARC Salt Lake, what drivers have to say about the possibility of gas prices going up because of the war in Iran. Following the U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran, Gas Buddy projecting up to a 30% increase in gas per gallon as early as this evening. They say larger changes will likely come in a few days or weeks. 2 News' Samantha Hoffman spoke with drivers in St. George about the possibility of higher gas prices.
It's not good. I wish things were cheaper.
St. George drivers feel gas is already expensive and are bracing for increased prices.
I think it can affect a lot of people. I mean, just driving to even work or stuff costs quite a bit of money just because it takes gas.
John Trainer with AAA Utah says crude oil prices have traded about $7 to $9 more than before the strikes.
Nothing affects your gas prices more directly than the price of crude oil. It represents about 60% of what you pay at the pump. So when crude oil goes up, your gas prices likely will go up as well.
Petroleum analyst with Gas Buddy Matt McLean says 20% of the world's oil supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz, which borders Iran and major oil exporters Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, and Qatar. He says while the U.S. gets most of their oil supply from the Americas, any disruptions along the strait will impact prices nationwide.
If the Strait of Hormuz is shut down or affected by the war, that's going to really squeeze supply chain. And that means prices could go up or supplies could be delayed.
People I spoke with say gas prices will be a huge factor in planning whether to travel.
I feel like already I'm kind of like a little stingy with gas just because it costs so much. And it's like if you're a college student and you're having to pay for that and you're having to work and stuff and save for it, it's a lot of money.
I drive around a lot, I like exploring, and if I gotta pay for gas even more than I have to, it's gonna be inconvenient.
Gas Buddy added there will be no shortage of gasoline in the U.S., but prices will rise in Utah. No clear timeline on when the conflict will end. In St. George, Samantha Hoffman, KUTV News.
As the war unfolds, millions are clutching on to their wallets. Many economists say the impacts from the missile strikes won't be felt right away, but in the coming weeks. 2 News spoke with the president and CEO of World Trade Center Utah about how the war in Iran could impact trade.
This has a global impact, especially when we're talking about things like petroleum that don't only raise the cost of fuel at the gas pump, but for travel. For passenger travel, for freight travel, petroleum goes into essential products like plastics and medical devices and fertilizers. It has real ripple effects throughout the entire economy. Even if we're not getting as much oil from Iran, it just has that ripple effect across the global economy. So we do a certain amount of trade. The United States and Iran have about $1 billion in trade. So it's not a big trade partner. Certainly, we understand why. There's been sanctions and embargoes for some time now. No foreign investment between the two countries. But consider the entire region, and we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars.
The ongoing war in Iran is a topic we're keeping close tabs on. If you would like to go back and get caught up on all of our previous reporting, you can find it on KUTV.com. You can also download the 2 News mobile app. All right, let's talk about what's happening outside. Rainy, dreary, kind of sleepy weather for a lot of people, but
Yeah, and it's cold. It's getting colder out there as well with this storm. It's a big change, 20-degree difference from yesterday when we had highs well into the 60s and it was like t-shirt weather. But definitely rain jacket and winter jacket weather out there, umbrella. We have a few isolated showers down across southern Utah, Cedar City, Panguitch, Beaver, heading towards the Richfield area, just north of Moab along I-70. But again, this is mainly a northern Utah storm. I mean, this is a steady, consistent rain that just keeps on falling here. Already seeing many spots picking up over 1/4 of an inch with maybe another 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain on top of that expected here as we head through the overnight. So Brigham City seeing that heavy rain southward into Ogden, Salt Lake City, down into Tooele County, into the Provo area. We've got all snow now falling to Logan, up northward into Garden City. Going to start to see some snow filling into the Evanston area in southwestern Wyoming, Park City, and this will continue to intensify and remain pretty steady here through about midnight. After midnight, it becomes a little bit more widely scattered to even isolated by tomorrow morning's commute. We're starting to wrap things up here. Still some heavy snow along that I-80 corridor here heading eastward into southwestern and south central Wyoming. So that'll be kind of the bullseye where the snow will be, including up into the Uintas, and then we're wrapping this up for everyone by tomorrow afternoon. Then a break in the precipitation as we head into Wednesday. Again, on top of what we've already seen, about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit more the further north you head. But the Cottonwoods may wake up to more than 1/2 foot of snow, maybe even Evanston picking up about 3 to 5 inches of snow. City area. Garden City has already picked up over an inch, so you'll get another inch or two on top of that, maybe a coating to 2 inches into the Logan area. Rock Springs seeing a couple inches, and then we've got a break Wednesday, but here comes our next storm, and this will be a colder one with the snow levels getting all the way down to the valley floors for central and northern Utah. That'll go from Thursday afternoon, starting off as rain, then colder air moves in Thursday night, and into Friday, we're waking up to all snow here across the I-15 corridor. So we're going to have to watch out for that storm here and the potential for more accumulating snow here and more significant snow for the mountains. So as lows overnight, we're down into the 30s we go. We've got highs tomorrow into the 50s here across the state. St. George, we've got temperatures here into the 70s, cooling off into the 50s on Thursday and Friday. We spring forward, by the way, for the weekend, really nice temperature-wise, into the 60s and 70s across the Wasatch Front. We're going from 50s and 60s as well down into the 40s. There's that colder storm Thursday into Friday, and nice weather as we head into the weekend.
Imagine this, a still full 150-year-old bottle of booze was recovered from Utah's historic ghost town of Alta. Archaeologists, they got a literal taste of the past when they used tools and technology to sample a 150-year-old mystery spirit. The bygone era bottle of booze was one of thousands of artifacts that was unearthed during a construction project turned major excavation in the ghost town.
All right, give me a full glass there. Those who tried this spirit said it tasted like dry fruits and vinegar.
Oof. Work is underway to get the Salt Palace Convention Center ready for Roots Tech. It starts Thursday, March 5th, and this year, 11 international MCs will take part. Organizers say the goal is to help people from all over the world learn about their ancestors.
That's right, the Family History Convention runs until Saturday evening. There's also an online option for people who can't make it to the Salt Palace.
That is a very, very, very interesting convention. Lots of people come into town for that. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We have more news at 9 o'clock. Be sure to join us then. Otherwise, we'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place.